Today I'd like to make an adjustment to my current planner / journal. When I made the cover for this planner out of paper bags, I sewed it together so that I would have a huge pocket back here. But now I'm realizing it's gaping open like this, and I don't really like it. First of all, the ephemera that I have in here can fall out very easily. And second of all, I just don't like this right here. Welcome to another Junk Journal Snacks episode. It's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. If you're wondering how I made this journal and this cover, please see the video linked below. I take you through the whole process. So if you ever make a journal out of a paper bag and you decide to have pockets open like this, you might want to consider doing what I'm doing now from the beginning. Obviously, I could just close this with some magnets or even using those Velcro dots. That would be a very easy solution. But I wanted to challenge myself and I wanted something a little bit more substantial. And my idea is to attach a flap with which I could close this and then to secure that with the same mechanism that I would use for a coin envelope. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off this pocket. Thankfully, I sewed it on instead of gluing it on, so now I can just open up this stitching here using a seam ripper, because I think it would look very strange to have my flap going over this pocket. If I would have glued this on, I would have probably just glued this down as well and then just not used it as a pocket. So I have this pocket that I can now, of course, add somewhere else. Let's see where we could add that. How about on this paper bag? Yeah, I think that works well. I want to add the stitching here again, but obviously I cannot sew it through the paper bag. And I want to choose a thread that's going to work well with this page right here. And I found this maroon color, which I think will look very nice also together with these petals here. So now I can just glue this onto my pocket. I'm just using textile glue. Love how that color matches the print here and the petals here. Ties it all together. Okay, going back to our pocket here in the back. I cut a piece of this packaging from Amazon. This is super sturdy, probably even more so than a paper bag. I have cut this to fit in here snugly, and that will go over like this. So first of all, I want to change the shape of this. So I'm going to fold this. This is not straight actually. And then I'm going to cut the edges of the flap just like they would be like with a regular envelope. And by folding the paper in half like this, you can be sure that both are obviously then the same shape. So I have this now. And obviously I don't want to have this brown showing, so I want to cover it with the same fabrics that I used for this cover. So these are both Tim Holtz fabrics. So I have a little bit of this one left. And then on the front, I have this one. This is all I have left from that fabric, so hopefully that will be wide enough for the outside piece. It's not a tragedy if I would use the other piece on the outside. I do have one more piece of that, but I think it looks nicer if these match up, obviously. I will link the German online shop called Quilting for You down below in case you are in Europe and want to check out these and other fabulous fabrics. So I can put this aside for now, and the first step is then to cover this, which is going to be the inside of the flap. So I'll take my textile glue. You can also do this with a PVA glue. And since this is quite thick, I'm going to thin it down with a little bit of water. So I keep these plastic bowls or whatever I can find. This happens to be from, I'm salivating now, from a very yummy ice cream that we have here in Vienna, which is called Eismarillenknödel, which is basically ice cream apricot dumplings, which sounds super weird. I know. I will insert a picture here for you. It's super yummy. It's the ice cream version of a very famous dessert, or people also eat it as a main course here. So you make a dough either out of potatoes, or more traditionally, if you use apricots inside, you would use cream cheese. And then inside you have a whole apricot, but you take out the seed and you replace the seed with a piece of sugar. And then you put the apricot inside the dough and you close the dough so that it forms a dumpling, and then you boil that in water. Oh my goodness, I'm salivating. And when that is done, that takes about 15-20 minutes max. I put a little bit salt in the water as well. Then you take breadcrumbs and you fry those a little bit, typically with butter. Yes, this has an immense amount of calories. And you have those in the pan, and then you put your dumplings into that to coat it all. And then you put some powdered sugar on top. Oh my goodness, it is like the best thing. And then there's the ice cream version of it. So it's mostly, I think, vanilla ice cream. And inside you have like this core of apricot mousse or something. And then on the outside you would have, I'm not sure what they put to look like the breadcrumbs, but it looks like the real hot thing, but in a cold version. It is so yummy. Okay, excuse that tangent. Salivating so much right now. I will have a sip of water. Okay, that's better. So I'm adding the glue. Now let's mix that up. And if you're not happy with the consistency, then obviously you either add more glue or more water. You don't need a very thick layer of the glue. I'm going to sew around it, I think, also, so it's not so crucial. So then I'll place my fabric over it, making sure I have no wrinkles. Then I'll cut around the shape. You could probably do this even without the packaging in between. Just do it with the fabric. I kind of find it easier to have the paper because I'm more used to dealing with paper. But if you are someone that is very good with fabric, by all means do that. And now we need this strip here for the other side. I just want to check if this is going to be wide enough. So this is going to be in here like this. Okay, maybe I can put it in a little bit more so that this will work. Yeah, I think that should be okay. So we'll add the glue here as well. Just on the top portion is going to be enough. Another alternative for the glue would of course be a spray glue. I have one. I'm not a huge fan of using it because it sprays everywhere, obviously. But maybe if you have like a box that you could spray in, that would work well. So which part do I want on it and which way do I want it facing? I think I want it facing this way. I think I'll take this piece here where I can see the memoranda. I'll just dry this part here where I have some glue on the edge. And then I'll cut out the shape again. Okay, so we have this flap. And we need to put it in so that we don't see that this side is not as wide. Like that. And now we could just glue that on, right? So again, I'll take my textile glue and I'll just run glue right along the edge here. Okay, so we have a nice flap. And then I want to bend that inwards, crease it here. And then I also want to be able to close this, although I actually think this would be fine, but I would feel better if it has a closure. So I'm going to take a piece of sturdy cardstock and punch out some circles. I just want to see how sturdy this is. I think I'll do 3. 3 feels good, and I'll make another one. I'll glue those together. Obviously make sure they are aligned. Then I'll put fabric over each of these. So for the one that's going to go here, I'm going to use the fabric that I used here. And for this one, I'm going to use the fabric that I had here. I'll take a part right from in here to give it a little bit of interest. So let's glue those on as well. I'll let that dry for a little bit, and then I'll just cut around these. So obviously you could make any button like this. If you want like a regular button, you could just punch 2 holes in there and you have such cute fabric buttons. In my case, I'm only going to punch 1 hole. I am going to ink these up. You could also use paint instead of ink. I'm using walnut stain because otherwise I think they look a bit naked. And even though I haven't inked up the edges here on my journal, I am going to ink up the edges of the flap. And even here on this edge. Then I take my Crop-A-Dile and I punch holes in the middle of each circle. If you don't have one of these, just use your awl. And now I'm going to place this obviously middle-ish. So I'll mark here where I need the hole. I can see where this one needs to go, so they should be on more or less a straight line. And that's where I need my second hole. So this one is easy because I can easily reach that with my Crop-A-Dile. They usually need a little bit of help if you go through fabric. Since I can't reach this far with my Crop-A-Dile for this hole, you could either just use your awl, but what I'm going to try is this fun little tool. This is from Fiskars. I'm not quite sure what they're called. You can get them in different widths. So these have like this very strong feather here, which expands, and then you're supposed to be able to just make your hole. I'm not experienced with this tool, but let's give it a try. I will put this doubled up cardstock underneath so that I don't go through the whole pocket. So I place this here and then it is super loud and I don't think it went through. Let's try that again. Oh my goodness, this is so loud. Yeah, I think it definitely went through the back side where my paper is. So see, this came off, but it doesn't seem to be great with fabric. So I will try it with my awl. I'll give it my all. See here the indent? Yeah, I went through one of the layers. And And I'll use my fabric scissors and just cut that a little bit wider. Okay, that should do it. So then I'll pick some brads to secure our circles with. How about these? So this one goes here. And then it helps to take the awl to separate the two legs. Okay, that's one. And then we add this one here. If it bothers you that these two legs are showing, you could just put another piece of fabric on top. I actually don't mind that they're showing, so I will leave it. And then we just need some twine, and I'll tie that around this part here with a double knot. Then I'll cut off the short end so that we can't see it. And then we wrap this around like an 8. One more time and leave that hanging, and then cut that off. So now I can fill up this pocket without having to worry about anything falling out. I love this. I am so happy I did this. Didn't take long and is cute and practical. If you wanted to, you could add a charm or some kind of a dangle or something on the end of your string. You could even add one of these cute pull tabs from a soda can, which is tied on here. And you could even paint these with alcohol inks if you don't like the silver and if you want to make it look a little more vintage. So then you would have that here. You could just thread your twine right through the hole and just make a double knot there. But in my case, I want to just leave the twine as it is. Have fun with this idea. Alter it, expand it. You're creative. You will come up with something. Love you guys.
Mwah, mwah.